I will press
Yeah,
record.
we can.
So here we are, truth seekers from 3 different spots in the world, right? We have Erica, who's coming from, what's the name of the town that you're in?
Monmouth, Oregon.
Monmouth, Oregon, on the coast, right?
Near Salem, actually. The coast
Near
is like
Salem.
2 hours away. I'll be back there tonight. So,
Okay, well, this is the first time that
Awesome.
you and I have done a show together from different locations. So
I
this
know.
is it,
I
It's
know.
always a new
right?
one. It seems like this is all about like news.
That's
Mhm.
right. And there, I'm in Mount Shasta, and there we have the wonderful Maqua Iqua, who's coming to us from where?
Egypt.
Oh,
Egypt.
Egypt.
wow.
Yes,
Awesome.
in Abu Sir. Abu Sir, close to Cairo and Giza, so just like a little further down of Giza and probably like 25, 30 minutes from the pyramids of Giza.
Oh,
So really
wow.
close by.
Wow.
Wow. And you've been in Egypt for how long now?
I got here on March 16th, so it's like I think it's the seventh week now, and yeah, it
Wow.
was quite a journey. And
So,
you probably hear like in the background a lot of noise with dogs.
mhm.
I apologize for that. Wild gangs of dogs like everywhere.
Wow.
Really
Interesting.
interesting. So the last
Yes.
time we spoke with you, you were in Germany and you were just getting ready to embark upon your trip. And I'm sure that you have had some amazing experiences. And I don't know where you'd like to begin, but I guess maybe the first question I would have for you is, how was it getting to Egypt, coming from the States, then going to Germany and getting into Egypt? And how was that, just that initial kind of feeling and transformation right now with so much that's going on in the world?
I mean, it was really interesting. I think last time when we spoke, there was a lot of the with the Ukraine, so like everybody was kind of in this upheaval in this fear back in Germany and like a lot of stress, so to speak. And in Egypt, it seems like because I'm not connected to the news, it feels like I'm just on an island because Arabic, I cannot read a sign, I cannot write, I don't understand a thing. So it's really interesting. It feels like there's nothing from COVID what's affecting me. Coming in, you need to wear a mask, but then when you're here, you don't feel anything basically about COVID whatsoever. There may be like the museums where you need to go in with a mask, but that's basically it. And then like people, they say like the gas prices went up, and I think it's all connected to the Ukraine. What happened for like worldwide for many countries that the gas price went up, and that's basically the only thing what I feel here, like what's reminding me of anything European or Americanized, because it's so like we are in a Muslim country. It's like Arabic, so it's like different language, different everything, and it's the first time. And like I was in Egypt before, but it's the first time that I'm like in an Arabic country like that, and there was a lot of like to get used to adjust to it. And to my surprise, it actually feels really awesome. So, but it was like a real steady process to get myself into it.
Mm.
And because it's all like masculine dominated, so to speak, and like the only people we really have to deal with is like with men. When you go to a store, everybody is like male. Like when you go in a restaurant, every waiter is a male. When you go any place, like when you go in a taxi cab, in a tuk-tuk, everything is male. So you don't hardly see any women whatsoever. So
Wow.
it's like it's really an adjustment just to be always in this masculine energy, so to speak. And this was new. So it took me a moment until I really got to understand their background, their culture better. And yeah, so now I'm here like the seventh week, and I feel like I'm family. I live privately in a flat. I rent a flat with my friend, um, and from the family where we did the organization, helped us with the organization. So it feels like we are hanging out every day with the family, have dinner or breakfast, like meet with friends which we made from the family. So it feels really like I live here. I never felt like a tourist, not from the first moment, because it's basically like we live in this flat, and there's a in Abu Sir, there's a our villa what we rented out for our tour is right across from a excavated new pyramid, and it's still closed off to public because they're still working on it. But the energy is so intense, and I believe that this this land, this sacred land, basically called me in. Because to be honest, I don't speak about too often, but in all my downloads, when we are basically like, so we are right across from this pyramid, this full view, it's absolutely beautiful. And the people where we are staying with, they have like right next to us a piece of land. And we actually established a Bedouin tent for our tour. So we bought a tent for them, and that we could do our shamanic journeys. Like there was an entire like retreat included in the tour, that we could meet in this Bedouin tent every day to do our sacred work. And this tent and this piece of land is connected to this pyramid, and the energy, to be honest, is completely Lemurian. It's basically we have a Telos right on this piece of land, and this was like one mission what need to be fulfilled to bring more of the feminine energy, of the Lemurian energy here to Egypt. So, and just by hanging out on this land, it's literally like I get to the land and I leave my body because the energy is so high. So it's just absolutely beautiful to be in this nearly Mount Shasta Lemurian energy. And even the last journey to Telos I did here online, when I did my meditation, the entire Telos and healing team all showing up on this pyramid, and the entire ceremony was basically held on the pyramid. And what the downloads what I got was literally that they have a gigantic birthing rock, and you can sit on this rock, and there's like a seat, and when you sit on it, it's like you lie in a birthing position. I'm like, you cannot sit, it's like you lie in a birthing position. And it was like for the high priestesses to help women to give birth.
Wow.
And the energy is just really incredible. So that's where we are hanging out. This is like our home station, and that's where we started our tour. So we had a villa rented right across to be like really immersed in this energy when we are not on any tour or like museum or like sacred sites, that we have the integration on this piece of land. So, and this worked out really great because the initiations for our entire group and what people went through was absolutely tremendous. I think, as I mentioned, the guidance what I got in Mount Shasta was that the entire group is on a group mission. So the perfect constellation came together. And actually when we went to the Iset temple, and I don't want to use Isis because Isis, the name is like pretty distorted with many different meanings. So it's like, we want to call it Iset. And so when we went to the temple, it was so magical because this is like when our mission got completed. And every woman got basically their initiation in their own way. But as a group, it was incredible. And it was like really intense. Even when people left, it was so much initiation about the feminine and every little detail for every woman in a different way, and in a group together as well. And the downloads what I got before I got all those downloads even in Germany, like what to do with the group and all the entire like path to take them on, like was absolutely conducive to bring the masculine and the feminine basically into a marriage on the very end. And so every step of the way was basically like getting ready for that. And we just actually completed this entire journey last week because there was so much integration. When people went home, they were still in this container of this process. And last weekend was the first time that it felt really ready to complete the container and like seal it and send people off on their new adventure, because it was really important to have like the group energy be held for each other. So yeah, it was incredible.
Wow, sounds absolutely amazing. And you've decided to stay on in Egypt for a while.
It was not that I decided. Spirit said, like, before I went to Egypt, and I checked in, like, so how long do I go? And Spirit said, like, I need to move there. And I was like, that's not possible.
Wow.
So I went with an open flight. And every time when I checked in, it was like, I need to be at least 12 weeks. But I felt I had like commitments in Sedona and workshops which are coming up in May and June. So I felt like I need to be responsible for this as well. But Spirit said I need to be here for 12 weeks. So I stretch the time, and you can imagine, I'm like, everything like what needs to happen happens like in a stretched period of time of 12 weeks, but only probably in how many weeks do we have? I think eight weeks. So every day is absolutely filled with transformation. There's not even one dull moment. It's just so much stuff. And the energy is actually really incredible, to say the least. And it feels like everything what needs to be seen, even stuff which I had worked on already, is all coming again to the surface to like we looked at it again from a different angle and release it again. And all the private sessions, what I'm doing, it's really interesting. It's all about the feminine. It's unbelievable. I'm like, the awakening what we had here is like that all those people who get sessions, they have the same awakening, like Isis comes to them, speaks to them before the session. It's like, it's magic. So, yeah.
So have you seen any, like, as you're living there and as you've grounded this feminine energy in there, are you seeing that like in the external yet?
So it's like, it's really interesting because there's a lot what I needed to let go of, and also like my judgment, because you don't see women, right? The only women you see, they're like hair covered in like long dresses, so you never see like 1 little inch of skin. And even though I feel also pretty covered, but this is the skin what looks out, right? I cannot be like all the way dressed up. But I needed to change all my clothes. It's basically like also like full body covering, so to speak. And even now, I really often walk around with a scarf. And what I realized, it's there's so many layers to it. I'm like, I feel better actually when my body is covered, right? There's like a sense of comfort. And also when my hair is covered. Of course, I'm blonde, so it's like people really like, they see me even more though. But even when I walk around, sunglasses covered up my hair, long dress, and I'm just in a tuk-tuk, I'm like, people stare into the tuk-tuk. It's like they can only see this much skin. There's not like maybe this little bit of hair comes out, but people stare at me. And and I think it can only be energetically, because otherwise I'm full body covered. And I realize it's like for me much more comfortable to really obey those rules how women walk around. But then on the other side, like when I walk around in a long dress, like what I got here in Cairo, there's also like hiding the body, not being seen, right? Like not like showing form, not like being authentically me. So it goes like back and forth. So it's a really interesting dance. So the comfort is like being fully dressed, and on the other hand, is like, so where's my identity? Like, how do I operate in this different culture but still stay me or stay myself? So it's so many facets that I feel like I'm just working through, but I can see like how can I say it? I'm like, we are in Ramadan right now, right? Like it's all about celebration, being with the family. And I see what the men do for their families. And it's all about the celebration, going home and breaking the fast with family every night someplace else, which is absolutely beautiful. And being with their family and also their wives. But on the other hand, you don't see the wives outside of the family house. So it's this really interesting dance. The men have all those rights and what they can do, and the women are like more hidden. At least that's my observation right now. But I feel also like the longer I'm here, I get a better, deeper understanding and see like the women have like a freedom in their household, how they do it. And there's also like a lot of rules. So it's a really, I'm sounding probably like really confusing because I'm still confused about the entire situation because it's so multifaceted.
Yeah.
I cannot even put my finger on it. It's just like taking it day by day and seeing like, so where's my femininity, like just for myself, hidden underneath a long dress, not showing any skin, and how can I contain that? So, and then of course, then with Iset, it's all about like claiming your femininity, claiming your beauty, claiming your body. That's the message from Iset in a temple. There's like no holding back because you don't do it for anybody else. It's like you live your inner beauty inside out. If somebody sees it or not, you do it for yourself, you claim it, you own it. And that's basically the message from is that. So it's really interesting to be in this feminine but masculine energy surrounded by, and those men, which we are also not like used, like me being German and like living in the US, they do everything for you. I'm like, you're the queen. I'm like, you snip and everything is done for you. And I never experienced anything like this. You don't need to literally do anything because they are absolute gentlemen. So this feels really great too. But this is like because I'm also a tourist, and like I'm in this beautiful space to be honored and supported and catered to, and I don't know how this is at home, how they do this with their wives, right? Like how is this like what I don't see behind hidden doors, so to speak. But for me, the experience so far was like really incredible. The people are absolutely super friendly, like really nice, and yeah, like no complaints so far.
Beautiful.
And what about you talked about that you went through some major initiations and you brought in a lot of different things in ceremony and retreat. So internally, how are you feeling as far as your own transformative process or what you went through?
So I feel actually like better and better. I'm like after the tour, after the retreat, it took me a week just to bring it back home, right? Because it was intense and a lot. But I feel more in my feminine than ever. There's like a new ignition, or like between the masculine and the feminine was also like the goal in our like retreat, to bring those both together. And I feel like there's a big shift happening inside of me to own both. And I think the feminine, to really own the feminine, has so many faces, but it's like to own the feminine, as I just said, without doing it for other people, just to own the femininity inside of me, and like yeah, be completely happy about this, like celebrating myself. That's basically where it's at. And I feel like this took me to another level, and it feels like actually really awesome. And I think this happened for all the women who participated in a different way. Like everybody went, I feel like, up the next level in their evolution. That's how I feel for myself too. And for me, it was also like a lot about leadership, stepping into the leadership and see like how leadership can be done, how is the sisterhood, and it was like literally seeing how important sisterhood is in being on the planet, to like be on mission and really like make this possible and not shying away from it, to really see like I need to step.
Oh, that was interesting.
Oh, I don't know what just happened. No
I
idea.
don't know.
You froze and right in the middle when you're saying I need to step.
How
Talking about the
interesting is
sisterhood.
this? Wow, maybe there's like a sabotage running here. So like yeah, it's all about like really stepping into the power, into the in the power, like full in the powerful role as being a woman, also in leadership. And I think this happened also for other people, other women who were here, to step more into their leadership. And I think there's also an energy which like really tries to sabotage that. And it's not only here, I think this is like globally. And so like all the women basically after the retreat, they were like under energetic attack, to say the least, to really like step into it and like own it. So it was like energetically not that easy. And I don't know like if other people felt this too, but even clients who got sessions, they had also exactly the same experience, that the femininity was attacked or affected. So I feel like that's a global phenomenon right now, to prevent women really as light holders and placeholders of the feminine, to really what's the word what I'm looking for, like not to have this happen, to block them, to sabotage them, that people or women shy away from it, like not to do it because they can sense there's like a discomfort in doing it. So then I feel like that's what really came out in Egypt, how can you be in your feminine in this masculine world, not being threatened by the masculine, but also like not shying away from it and finding the middle ground of like being in your diplomacy and like holding yourself back and protecting your femininity, but also like bring it out. So it's a real interesting dance for all the women who participated as well. I don't know if this makes any sense, what I'm saying.
It does, yeah. It's fascinating because like you're in it, like we in the United States, you know, we perceive that we have more freedoms, but like the societal dance we have is really, really complex. Over in Egypt, you're seeing more of a delineation so you can see it more clearly. That's my sense. So you're like exploring avenues within yourself that you weren't able to see in the United States.
Exactly. And I think it's also like what we do here, because I checked in today again, like I'm still on my mission, like what do I'm doing here? And it's like I'm still holding the light, I'm holding the place, I'm like creating basically the ground here to hold this feminine energy, but it's not only the feminine energy, it's the Lemurian energy to bring this love and light and the lightness from Lemuria here. Because I'm like, there were like wars here, there was like revolution here just some years ago. So to bring the feminine in, the feminine is not on their like highest level of respect here in this country. So to walk around as a woman just by yourself, this is like, that's huge already, right? So it's how can you feel safe, be in your feminine and not offend the man? Because we are so free in the US and also in Germany, in Europe, and they're not used to that. So it's a really interesting dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like it's just been an amazing journey on so many levels.
Absolutely. And we got also the experience to go to the white and black desert. That's what we just did last week. And this was like a really awesome experience too, because there's the crystal mountain with the crystals, and you can just see the crystals like growing on the rocks.
Oh, wow.
And by seeing those crystals and just picking up the crystals in the sand, like there was this gigantic portal which opened, and we went in. Like the crystal mountain is basically the portal into the Sahara Desert. And we were like for one day completely immersed in the desert, which was absolutely phenomenal. And the energy was so high because this crystalline energy is literally like underneath the Sahara Desert. And I was basically like the entire time just like flying out of my body, and I was like so happy because the energy was just so light and so bright and just playful and joyful, and it was just a really extraordinary experience as well. So there's so many different facets of Egypt to have basically the crystalline field, the Sahara Desert, and also like the sacred sites and the Muslim culture, and right now Ramadan, like right, the prayers all day long and the celebration and the fast and all of that, and then normal touristic Egypt with the Red Sea and diving and all of those areas. So it's so multifaceted that every time like it's some completely different part which also like gets ignited in you. That's how I feel about this entire trip.
Sounds like an all-encompassing adventure on not just a myriad of levels, right? Spiritual, physical, mentally, emotionally, and just
exactly. And of course, like arriving here at a Great Pyramid in Giza was like extraordinary. And like it was like, oh my gosh, finally I came home. I was beyond happy. And there's this feel of like, yeah, I just came home. It feels nearly normal. So Egypt feels kind of, oh yeah, yeah, that's my home.
Nice.
No, it's so different, right? It's like it's not like it doesn't have the standard what the US has, right? Like it's like completely different. It's like fairly poor actually. There are like a lot of poor people, and to be also in this like different environment and to see the high civilization, what we realized, like all those temples and the sacred sites, what we got to see, this high development. But nowadays here, like to see also the poor people and how they live, it's also like really interesting to how it is always in balance. So,
Well,
but
that makes
just
me think of an interesting question. So, you know, because you said that you felt that there's a huge Lemurian connection there, right? And so the average person on the street, or not, would you say that they're tapped into that, or is on any level, or is it something that's just kind of that they're completely separate from, or maybe it's an unconscious thing, or is it, you know, is that something that's lost, or is it still there somewhat?
that's a good question. I think a lot of people here, at least in this area where I'm at, it's called village, even though it's 50,000 people. But it's like literally they live like in the village. They have their cows, which they are on, like which they go like with like donkeys every day to the field and get their stuff. Camels riding around like in the city. Like the car cannot move through the street because the streets are so tiny. So it's like you're literally like in a village with so many people, and I don't know if I can answer the question. I doubt it that I really maybe feel this, because I think there's like a lot of, I don't know if it's survival, but there's just a pure conscious, and I don't know when people are in pure conscious if they can just enjoy the moment and be like present with what is and like just be okay with all of that, or do they really suffer for their survival? I don't know. You know, like if you don't have the capacity to tap into something like this, that you see the beauty and the specialness of the pyramid, or if you're just happy that you have your meals on the table, I don't know if you can expand your
Sure.
conscience to something higher than just like, how can I have the next meal on my
Right.
table?
It's
And
no
I
different than it is here. Yeah, it's no
yeah,
different than it is here with people.
exactly. And so I don't know, like, if this is the truth, if they are like thinking about the next meal on the table, but a lot of people, they're like not, they don't have too much money. I'm like, it's literally the village where we are in. This is probably like America 50 years back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Sure.
like not everybody has a car. I'm like, the family we are living at, it's like 4 sons and 2 daughters, they have one car.
Mm.
So it's like really extra special when you have a car. Otherwise, you need to take a tuk-tuk, or you need to rent it or buy a taxi cab or an Uber. But normal people, they don't use this really often, so they use buses, and they need to take maybe 4 or 5 buses until they get to Cairo. So there's not so much money that you feel like you're surrounded by abundance, and that's just like normal living in the village here. In the city, maybe it's different, but yeah.
And what about pilgrims from, you know, or seekers or spiritual people from around the world? Have you seen a large convergence of that happening right now there?
Like there were like a lot of people, like tourists on the sacred sites, and like not all of them, like most likely in the Giza pyramids, and in Luxor, like, but even in the Iset temple, we were nearly alone. Like there were like maybe, I don't know, maybe 20 more people, but we were like nearly alone, so it was a big surprise. So it
Interesting.
completely depends, like where you go. But of course, like yeah, Giza was lots of people, and we haven't had actually. We had a really strong schedule. We didn't talk to other people. We were really content in our group. But I think a lot of people take tours. But what I know from our Egyptologist, he said that not many groups travel like how we did, and he was really challenged with our group, so to speak, because in Egypt it's not allowed to stand together in a circle and meditate. So we haven't had the possibility to meditate on any temple and just to do meditation, or like have a conversation, or like tune in, or like download stuff, because our tour guide was so worried, because the guards would come and follow us step by step to check out what we are doing. So it was like sometimes really challenging, and then you need to pay them, like that they let you have like 5 minutes in a special space, but you're always overwatched. So this was really intense, and I could not use my drum. Just having my drum in my backpack freaked my guide out already, And then finally I took it out and he nearly had a heart attack because it was like a drum is basically like a meditation tool, and meditation is are not allowed on any sacred site.
Wow, that's
It's really
interesting.
it's really interesting. So it was for that it was really challenging that we couldn't just be under sacred sites and hang out and do our thing, because it was always kind of watched over. And I think they had also politically they had a lot of stress, like also with terrorism. Just I think 4 years ago, and tourists were compromised by the tourism, so they established a lot of new rules to keep it really safe. I'm like every sacred site you go to is like proven by the government. All the names with passports are all like registered, so like you cannot just do whatever you want. It's all strict by plan, and I know, and the police checkpoints. So it's to provide and protect for the tourists, but it's not as easy as we thought it would be. Say that.
What an interesting journey it's been. It sounds like, and again, you're going to be there for a few more weeks, right?
Yes, I will travel back to Germany on on May 4th. So tomorrow we're gonna go back to 2 more sacred sites. And I think we needed to have this time to integrate, to get ready to take more in, because it was just a lot to be with the energies, because what happened, and that's probably also for everybody different, but just to be in those places or in the Valley of the Kings, and to go into those what is it even called, like the tombs, you can feel the energy, like when you're around those tombs or the sacred site, you can literally feel the energy still present. So even the statues of Sekhmet and certain walls, they have imprints of energy which you can really feel, and the energy is like really like transmuted through the statues. So they're like sacred places. They're literally like the placeholders and energy holders until today. I'm like thousands of years later, and you feel it really like the energy just penetrating you and like moving you. So there were like many places like this. So it's like just to be tuned into everything, like the walls, like the mummies. There was so much energy like with the mummies, and people had like really deep connections to the mummies and to the pharaohs who they have past lives with. So there was a lot of deep connection to the past and remembrance on a really deep level for nearly all participants. So it's really like to get those new codes and also the old memories like activated, and now they can work with us. So yeah,
That's beautiful.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you when you get back into Germany after the whole thing is kind of, culminated, and you've had some time to really. But it's I mean, you're emanating such an energy coming from there right now. I think we can both feel it, right, Erica?
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely.
So
yeah, it was an interesting journey and still is.
yeah, and we just appreciate you, knowing you the way that I do, and knowing all the good work that you're always doing everywhere that you go, and I'm sure that whether they know it or not right now, I'm sure that all the wives there and all the feminine are feeling maybe just a little bit better in the last few weeks than what all the work that you're doing.
I hope so. I'm like, at least the women in our house and all the children, they wear nail polish, and they're like super like super girled up. So we had like our influence already.
Beautiful.
Well, it's fantastic. Well, I know that we have a certain amount of time in this call, so I just want to say, Maqua, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us and bringing us into Egypt a little bit, and so amazing to talk to you. And Erica, thanks for setting us up. And
you're welcome.
As always, great to be with you. Yeah. So
and thank you so much for having me, and I feel really honored to be like with you guys and share my experience, and like just like having a little bit of Oregon energy here in Little Mount Shasta energy feels like really nourishing to my soul. So like, in having like two friends like connected on this level to really like see the interest and like, yeah, makes my heart really sing. Thank you for having
You're
me.
welcome. You're so
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you. We love you so much, and we're just so looking forward to when we see you again in person. And until then, hopefully we'll have another Zoom, and we'll just keep it going. Keep it
Awesome.
going. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
like
Thank you.
Egyptian blessings and much love to both of you.
To you as well. To you as well.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Truth Seekers today. And until next time, keep seeking the truth.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.